Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming back to the Feed the Soul channel with your host, Alejandro Sole. And today I have a very special guest. She's a recurring guest, actually. It is my program director from the supply chain management at the University of Texas at Dallas. It is Monica Brussolo. Thank you so much, Dr. Brussolo, for coming on.
Thank you, Alejandro, for having me. It's a pleasure to join you in your program. Thank you.
Now, today is going to be a little bit of a different video. I'm actually going to be talking about my program, supply chain management, and the whole major in general, and the whole industry as in general, with Dr. Brussolo to just educate you guys on what I'm learning about at school. All right, so to head straight into the video, Dr. Brussolo, can you tell us a little bit about supply chain management and what it is, like as the big picture for us?
Yes, to put it in plain terms, I would say that supply chain, if you think about supply chain, is looking like a chain of different activities that are linked together. And that's what I tell the students, is such a rich area of knowledge and as a professional field that you can go in any of these activities from the beginning to the end. So from the time that you choose your vendors, who's gonna provide you with raw materials, all the way until you finalize your product, you pack it, you put it in a nice package, and you send it to your consumer and he opens it. That's what we care about in supply chain. So this is like a long chain of different activities linked together. And that is why you, as a professional in this area, you can go in any of these different activities and literally do a career on them, right? So supply chain is so rich, and I call it, this is the backbone of the company, because it literally, if you understand all of these procedures, looking, kind of putting them together, then you have a very nice, a very good understanding of what the company is about, right? And something that we care about, I would say, we always thinking of better ways to do these procedures, right? Or how can we make it cheaper? How can we improve profit? How can we make that all these it conducts to have a more efficient use of our resources? And I think that's kind of in very plain terms, that's what supply chain is about.
But I
Yes.
also, I heard you talk a little bit about, there's a little bit more like distinct areas you can go into supply chain management. Can you talk a little bit more about them and what the distinctive areas
Yes.
are?
Yes. As a supply chain professional, there are something that I have found, because I stumbled into that profession as an accident later on in life, but something that I found was that you really can go into very different areas within the company. So I was telling you, have all these chain of activities linked together. So from the very beginning, if you were to go into purchasing or procurement, which is the first of these big areas, you will be dealing with vendors, trying to negotiate contracts, trying to find the best choices out there that will supplement your input, right? That will provide you with raw materials. So that's one of those areas that students can focus it could be an area of expertise, right? You evaluate suppliers, negotiate contracts, place orders, acquire materials, and manage costs. So you are right there at the beginning, trying to say whatever comes into this process will be the best possibility out there, right? You're gonna have the best raw materials with the cheapest vendors, and of course, quality is always a big component of that negotiation, right? And then you go into the middle. Then you say, okay, once you have all these raw materials, now what do we do with it? And that's when you have this big part of all these different activities linked together, that is production and operations. And when you look at production and operations, you are looking at product and service design, location planning, facility layout, demand forecasting. There's a lot of things that happen, capacity planning, scheduling, inventory management, quality control as well goes in there. And I always tell the students that my exposure to supply chain happened as quality control, right? So you go into the belly of the organization, literally you go inside and you say, how can I make these things better, reduce spoilage, reduce errors, make it more efficient, so we use the less possible resources with the highest outcome, right? I always tell, I'm not mentioning this, but it's low cost with high profit, right? We're trying to optimize profits and try to control the cost that that's going to incur. So you go in there, and as I say, there is a rich variety of things you can do in there, right? You can fit in a lot of places, and you can find different things to do. And then you go at the very end, and at the very end is perhaps what you guys have heard the most when you start hearing about supply chain. It's about distribution and logistics, which is towards the end of that chain. And you're going to be looking at people that are responsible for materials handling, the packaging of your product, when your product gets picked, if it arrives on time, what are going to be the channels and the routes that you're going to design to make it the most efficient way. Nowadays, when you see Amazon, Amazon is by nature a logistics distribution company, right? This is one of the strengths of this company, and it's so we see it so much out there that we are very familiar with that kind of activity, especially nowadays when we have a lot of our products come through packaging right in front of our doors. We just pick them up. So as I was telling you, this is the three areas: purchasing, procurement, operations, and production. And production could be for services too. And then logistics and distribution. So those are the three areas that the students can focus their interest, I guess. Yeah.
That's awesome. And now, do you have to, like when you join supply chain management, do you have to automatically join one of those specific areas or not?
No, that's an excellent question, Alejandro. And eventually you will get to that when you have to start taking these courses. Once you reach towards your senior year in the career, you're going to have, as a requirement, you have to take courses on all of these areas, right? So you're going to have supply chain management course, everybody in all the major stakes operations management, which is the intro course. You're going to have a purchasing and procurement and logistics and inventory. So you're going to have, and then Six Sigma, which is the quality control kind of operations focus of quality control. So you're going to have all these courses, and everybody takes those courses, right? And I tell the students, you right away know when you start taking these courses if there's something that you like more, right? They say, oh, this is very intriguing. I want to go in this direction, right? Besides that, taking those courses in your senior year, you start in junior and then senior. I would say also the internships will help you, right? If you start applying for internships and you say, well, I think I like operations, let's look for an internship in operations. You go work for several months in there and you say, well, I do like it, or no, I think I want to choose and go into, I don't know, logistics, or I'm going to go and try procurement. So you can have as many internships as you want. That's a requirement in the course, in the degree. But I would say being exposed to this in the day-to-day will give you a very good idea what to do. I mean, what do you like, what you don't like, right? And then just make choices as you progress in your career.
You were talking a little bit also about internships, Dr. Brussolo. Can you tell us a little bit about what type of internship opportunities you can get through supply chain management? And if you could also tell us like the type of jobs that you get once you graduate through supply chain management.
Okay. So yes, as I was mentioning before, part of having these different areas and that choice that you can literally go in any of these options as a supply chain major, you're going to start with internships, right? And some of our students have very good experiences in their internships, and they go to very good companies around the Metroplex. And they can be, I don't know, and I'm looking here at some of the titles: supply chain intern, it could be operations intern, planner intern, inventory quality control intern. There are a lot of things that you can, because it's so rich, right? You say, and every company out there will really need some supply chain component into their function. So yes, our students are, and some of them have 2 or even 3 internships as they progress, and they find what they like, right? So now in terms of jobs, I would say that are also highly competitive. And I'm very excited every time students reply or they email us after they graduate to say, we got this job and we are so excited. And And they're competitive in the market as well. They're ranking among the, um, I would say, among the top students, or the once they graduate or degree is in the top rank of salaries, compared to other degrees in business. So, and part of that is because this is one of the only two programs that are STEM programs in undergraduate in Jindal School of Management. So that gives you an edge compared to other degrees, and part of that is that it gives you these uh, mindset of being a problem solver, right? That you see the problems, and because we train you on being more analytical and problem solver, you start finding alternatives to solve these problems. And that is great for the companies. And some of the jobs that you get, and as I say, because you have such a variety of activities that you can perform, you can go into operations planner, a logistics coordinator, supply chain analyst, production controller, and I'm just checking some of the names. We have some of these lists are out there on the website. So you can really go anywhere, right? From the very beginning all the way to the very end. And the funny thing is that I was talking to one of our seniors. She just graduated, and she was telling me that something that was very interesting to her and struck her when she got more into the job market was that very similar jobs you go to different companies and they have a different name, right? So you may have, and I remember her example, she's one of our great students, alumni. You can have 20 supply chain professionals in a room and none of them will have the same title, right? Everybody will be doing something different. And that's what is so interesting to me, that it is so rich, this industry or this field, that you can really fit anywhere, right? You can go and find a job in any industry pretty much, and you can go into different areas, different roles, and there are generally very well paid, and you have an opportunity to grow, right? Once you understand how the company works from the bottom up, definitely you have this know-how on how to solve the problems, and makes you valuable to any company.
Now, I also want to figure out and learn a little bit more about the future of the supply chain management industry, because I know how much of an impact the coronavirus had on our industry. So could you tell us a little bit about what the future may look like for us?
Yes, and I would say a lot of industries have changed, and they have been to adapt to this uncertainty, right? Because that's what's going on right now. It's just that there is a lot of information that is not available. We cannot make predictions in the long term. Sometimes even the short term, there is a lot of things that are changing. So I would say that it is a great area of opportunity. As I was telling you, as you in your profession, you're going to be problem solvers, right? That's kind of the profile that you develop through your career. Once you get there, exactly that level of uncertainty will give you a very rich opportunity to develop new ways and new avenues to manage the company, right? And everywhere you look, I think that uh, part of what we understood on this crisis was that we were not really prepared, and some of the supply chain was very rigid and not easy to adapt to these changes. So, and in the future, I believe that professionals in your career are going to have a lot of opportunities to change that way, right? To change the paradigm and say, well, we really have to have more flexibility in how we manage the supply chains, right? We have to adapt, we have to change procedures, we have to do more optimization, more slimming processes, and definitely we have to find, I think one of the areas that's going to present more of a challenge and more of an opportunity will be at the beginning when you look at procurement. Where do we find new areas or new resources, right? Because we've been depending a lot of an international level, global level, and perhaps we need to start having alternatives at the local level, domestic level, so we can balance some of the barriers that we're facing due to international or international relationships and all the things that are coming through through these uncertain times. So, but I believe that there are some industries that have been winners and some industries that have been losers. In my opinion, you guys are in one of those winner industries that are going, or areas that are going to get stronger, and they're going to have a lot of, or they're going to asking for for people that are very open mind, and they're going to be able to handle and tackle problems in different ways.
That is awesome. I think you explained supply chain in the best way possible, Dr. Brussolo. Now, before we end the video, I also want to have you brag a little bit about yourself and your program, because I don't know how personal and how close you can get with your own program directors. So for Dr. Monica Brussolo to do this with me, a student, is just unbelievable, and it's really unheard of. So it shows the level of care that you have for your students, Dr. Brussolo. So if there is anything else like you would want to say for those who may be like on the fence about whether or not they're going to stay with their major, or like any last words?
Oh yeah, thank you, Alejandro. You know that when I got into education, part of what I did was that, or part of what attracted me is to have these opportunities to be able to share the joy and the projects of you students have. And it's amazing to see somebody like you, one of our stellar students, doing this just because you're passionate about. We talked about it before. So I would say part of that, I try to put every day this willingness to be accessible to my students, because I believe that that's the best way to direct them. I mean, long time ago, I was a 20-year-old or 18-year-old that I didn't know what to do with my life. And I remember having these important figures, right? Professors that were always willing to give you a piece of advice, right? So if I can do just a little bit of contribution to the successful of the students in the future, I would say I would be happy to do it. And you know that we have a nice relationship, and we talk during these times that we've been away. We've been having these conversations, and I really appreciate that you think of me of somebody that you can rely on. And to the students that are on the fence, I would say just if you are considering a major, just reach out. It doesn't have to be me, right? But you can reach out to anybody, any of your directors, talk to your seniors, talk to other students in the program, somebody like you, Alejandro, that has already been in the program for a year. See what is the experience they have, and make decisions thinking about the future, right? And there is never a right or wrong decision. You're going to learn as you go. That there are programs that suit some of you better, and there are programs that you're not attracted to. So you have to find that passion and that path that will take you to find a job that you love, right? That you feel like you're contributing to the company and that you're making a difference. Just find that path, whatever degree that is. Supply chain is here for you, but any other degree will that you're passionate about, you just have to find it, right? You have to stick to it and work hard. Yeah.
And I know you mean your word when you are always giving your time for your students, because I know you're always reaching out to us, making sure that we're all okay during these times. So, once again, thank you again, Dr. Brussolo, for doing this for me, Alejandro, and doing this together. Thank you for all that you've done to put in, classes in person as well. So it means a lot to us as students. So thank you so much for all the time and effort that you put into all of us, and also for making me stick around with supply chain management, because hearing your story of how you came into supply chain management, it really solidified me staying in here and making sure that I felt like, like I was part of like a family or something like that,
Yeah,
so
thank you, Alejandro.
Thank you, Dr.
We care
Brussolo.
for you guys, and I'm happy that you're back, and we're here to support you through this semester, this unusual semester, but we will stick around and try to make it as fun as possible.
All right, so thank you once again, Dr. Brussolo, for doing this for us, for teaching us all a little bit more about what supply chain management is. Do you have any last words? Maybe if we have any questions or want to meet up with you, how should we reach out to you?
Yes, we will be adding or email. You can always reach out to me. My information is going to be provided with from your professor, and we also have an email that we can use to reach out if you want to talk to Alejandro or any of our ambassadors. They have an email that you can reach just to ask questions if you want student opinion. But definitely, I would say if you have doubts about this conversation, if you want to learn more, we have a lot of more handouts and information we can share with you. And thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Thank you, Alejandro, for spending this morning on preparing this video, on this interview with me. Thank you, Alejandro.
That's going to wrap up the video for today, guys. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your semester.